Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to Let's Play Sonic.EXE. I opened up the game before and I saw that and, before I could start recording before,
Sonic.EXE, probably one of the most influential horror games ever created. Some say it was scary, while others say it was absolute garbage that should have never been created. However, there is one thing we must admit. It was thanks to Sonic.EXE that many fan games were created and adopted the .exe style of gameplay. Some are very good, while others were, well, absolute garbage.
What the hell is even that?
It's undeniable that back in 2011, this game was a phenomenon where various YouTubers played the game that led it to being so popular, and thus other creative minds adopted this style of game into other franchises, which led to the creation of the .exe genre. However, not everything is as it seems. In the good year of 2025, we have to ask this simple question. Does the creepypasta and the game based on it still hold up? What exactly was the controversy in regards to the original creepypasta creator? Are there other Sonic.exe fan games that are much better? In order to answer all of these questions, let's divide this video into chapters. Chapter 1 will be about the creepypasta itself. Or in other words, reading the entirety creepypasta that was originally posted. Chapter 2 will be about the fan game created based on the creepypasta, so we will see how faithful it is and see if it still holds up nowadays. Chapter 3 will be about the controversy surrounding the original creator. Chapter 4 will be about the fan game that actually manages to show what a real Sonic horror game should be about. And lastly, the last chapter is, well, I don't want to spoil that yet, but I promise you that it will surprise you. So, without further ado, let us begin. First off, in case you are confused, what exactly is a creepypasta? Don't take the word creepypasta too literally, because no, it's not a pasta that is scary. I'm pretty sure our brothers and sisters over at Italy would not approve that. The definition for creepypasta is actually this according to the good people over at Wikipedia. A creepypasta is a horror-related legend which has been shared around the internet. These entries are often brief, user-generated, paranormal stories that are intended to frighten readers. Big emphasis on frightened readers, which I'm absolutely sure that Sonic.exe managed to accomplish this. Also, the Sonic.exe creepypasta is really long. Like, look at this. This is ridiculous. So I'm going to read only the important parts and skip the filler that is in this story. And even skipping the filler, it's still very long. So let's begin.
I'm a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played glitchy or hacked games before, though I don't think I want to play any. After the experience I had, the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox as usual, and left. I paused the game to go see what I got in the mail. The only thing in the mailbox was a CD case for computers and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note first and realized it was from my dear friend Kyle. This is what he wrote.
Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it was too late, and I was hoping you'd do it for me. I can't do it. He's after me, and if you don't destroy the CD, he'll come after you too. He's too fast for me. Please, Kyle.
Well, that was certainly weird. Even though Kyle is my best friend and I haven't seen him in 2 weeks, I didn't do what he asked me. I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, was I wrong about that. Anyway, I looked at the disc and it looks like any ordinary computer CDR disc, except it had black marker on it written Sonic.EXE. I went up to my room and turned on my computer. and put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed that it was the first Sonic game. The first thing I noticed that was out of place was when I pressed start. There was a split second when I saw the title image turn into something much different. Something that I now consider horrifying, before cutting to black. What freaked me out more was the character select. It showed only Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. I picked file 1 and chose Tails, and when I selected and got started, the game froze for about 5 seconds, and I heard a creepy pixelated laugh that sounded an awful lot like that Kefka guy from Final Fantasy, before cutting to black. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more, and the text showed only Hill Act 1. The screen faded in, and the level title vanished, revealing Tails in the green hill zone from Sonic 1. I suddenly saw something and I stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the ground bleeding. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past, looking more and more worried as the music lowers. And he moves past more dead animals. Tails was running up a hill and then he stopped. It wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen with his back against Tails with his eyes closed. Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving my keyboard to make him move, so this had to be a cutscene. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped, and stuck his hand out to touch him. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open, and they were black with those red glowing dots. When that happened, the screen turned black and the static sound was off. It stayed black for about 7 seconds and then white text appeared forming a message, saying, "Hello, do you want to play with me?" I was taken to a different level with the level title now saying Hide and Seek. This time I was in Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked like everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared out of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area he was in as fast as possible. So I pressed down on the arrow key as hard as I could and made him run as fast as he could. Suddenly I heard that creepy laugh again, right after 10 seconds have passed as I helped Tails run through the forest, and then I started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen, again with those black and red eyes. The music changed to that suspenseful drowning jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him, flying. Suddenly, when Tails tripped, the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails laid there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch and I kind of teared up myself, but then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails and Tails looked up in horror. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went black. There was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds. The text returned, only this time it said, "You're too slow. Want to try again?" And then that god-awful laugh came with it. I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but in the TV screen, which was flickering with that red static. Tails' expression scared me. His eyes were black and bleeding, his orange fur had gone black, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next. The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black again, and stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time the level said, "You can't run." The next level looked much different. It had the ground of the scrap brain zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had the dark reddish cloud sky. Then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several bloodstains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking something horrible is going to happen to Knuckles. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black and red eyes, and then red static appeared again. When the static vanished, showing nothing but a black screen with text saying, "Found you." Suddenly, Sonic appeared right behind Knuckles in what appeared to be a pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and then punch Sonic. Sonic vanished in black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. Then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again, and then I made him punch again, and Sonic vanished again, laughing. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees and clutched his head sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. And then in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles and the screen went black with another distorted screeching noise that lasted for at least 3 seconds. Another text message appeared. So many souls to play with, so little time. Would you agree? I was brought back to the main menu, and this time the second file box had Knuckles in the TV screen. His red fur had darkened to a reddish gray, his dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too. I began to think that those are actual characters, trapped in those TV screens on the save files, but I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. I had to figure out why this was happening, so I selected Robotnik next. This time I was in some kind of hallway. Didn't really look like it was from any of the classic Sonic games. Though it has the pixelated style, the floor was shiny and checkered. The walls were a dark grayish purple with animated candlelights and a few dark bloodstains here and there. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did, but he did have a suspicious look on his face, as if he was just a bit paranoid. I had Robotnik continue onward. He did his usual running animation, you know, when you've beaten him at the end of a classic Sonic game and you chase him. Then I stopped at a long flight of stairs leading downward. Now I was nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of himself, though I pressed onward. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I noticed that the walls have gotten darker and more reddish. The red torches are now an eerie blue. Then we landed onto another hallway. This one was longer than the last one. And then we headed down another flight of stairs. This one was much longer. Took at least 1 full minute. When Robotnik landed onto the third hallway, I noticed he looked really creeped out, though he tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him. I was scared too. Suddenly, Sonic popped right in front of Robotnik the same way he did Knuckles. And then, red static. The red static lasted for about 15 seconds, and then it showed me a most unpleasant image. The image showed an image of Sonic standing in the darkness, where you can only see his face while his head and torso faded into black. He looked so real you could actually see the lines in his blue fur, as if you could actually feel the fur if you touched the screen. His eyes are wide and black and once again crying blood, and there were 2 small glowing red dots in those black eyes staring right at me, as if staring into my mind. Then the screen flickered with red static again 3 times. And on the 3rd time I heard the Kefka laugh, except this time it sounded distorted, demonic even. It went back to the image again, except this time there was the text again, though it was messed up. But it was pretty much one of the most horrifying things I looked at since I had this game. I am God. Suddenly, in an actual split second, I screamed as Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open to an unnatural length. Before the red static came again, this time much louder and distorted, so loud that it hurt my ears. Then it stopped and showed nothing but a black screen. As I sat there staring at the black screen, one last text came up. Ready for round 2, Tom? I turned around to see where that voice came from, and what I saw made me scream. Sitting on my bed, staring right at me, was a Sonic plushie, smiling with blood stains under its eyes.
Okay, after hearing all of that, you are probably thinking, that was the stupidest and cringiest story I have ever heard in my entire life. To which I say, yes, you are absolutely correct. Look, this creepypasta was created by JC the Hyena back in 2011, and even back then, this was not a good story. I mean, I'm not saying it has to be Shakespeare's levels of writing, but come on man, look at this. This is actually something that was written by JC the Hyena, and I'm going to quote it. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked, it was really creepy, but as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared. Seriously, what the fuck does that even mean? How can this guy say he is smart when his best friend gives a simple instruction of destroying the CD, which he doesn't do? Also, speaking of his best friend, Kyle is a bastard as well. He knows the CD brings nothing but trouble, but instead of destroying it, which takes literally 2 seconds, he decides to mail it to his best friend, which takes even longer. Unless it was Sonic.EXE that pretended to be Kyle after killing him, but that also doesn't make sense, because instead of the letter saying to destroy the CD, it would actually encourage Tom to play the game. You know what, I'm actually looking too far into this shitty story. It's obvious that nowadays it doesn't hold up. Well, next chapter. Alright, while I was reading the story, you probably noticed the gameplay that was in the background, right? That was the original Sonic.EXE fan game that was created by Mount Crimson. All in all, this fan game did a very good job at following the original Creepypasta story. You have the character select screen, the zones title cards, and the locations that are described in the Creepypasta. Sure, there are some aspects that don't 100% line up, since this fan game only follows the portion of when Tom plays the game, and there are a few mistakes, like for example Tails doesn't trip in this section, and in the original story when Tom plays the Robotnik section there is supposed to be curtains on the upper screen, which don't exist on this original fan game, but future fan games like the Sonic.EXE 2011 remake released in 2023 by Gamma Epsilon rectified this mistake. All in all, Mount Crimson did a very good job in following the original source. Well, let's move into the next chapter.
But wait! There's more!
Actually, there is another important thing to mention. You see, in case you played the original fan game created by Mount Crimson, while you were watching the gameplay in Chapter 1, you probably might have noticed some things that were different from the time when you played the game or watched someone play it. That's because there are 7 different versions created by Mount Crimson. After searching on YouTube for the differences between these 7 different versions, I actually wasn't able to find a single video detailing them, so I thought, hey, why not be one of the first people to do it? Look, I'm no Tetrabit gaming when it comes to show the differences on alpha/beta versions of games, but I'll try my best, so let's do this. The first version was released on August 13, 2012, while the second version was released on October 2012. The third version was released on November 2012. Version 4 came out in December 2012. Version 5 released on March 2013. Version 6, which is actually titled version 666, was released on May 2014. And finally, the last version, version 7, released in April 2015. In the level Hide and Seek, Tails' standing sprite is different between version 1 and 2. Also, in the level Hide and Seek, Tails' sprite before dying is different between version 1 and 2. In the level You Can't Run, on version 2, when Knuckles tries to hit Sonic and he teleports, you can see a special effect added where Sonic leaves an after image behind. Also, on this level, before Knuckles dies, in version 2 a sprite was added right before the screen goes black. In the level where you play as Robotnik, his standing sprite is different between version 1 and 2. In version 2 he actually looks nervous. On version 1, after you reach the final screen that says "Ready for round 2", the game actually ends there, but on version 2 a game over screen was added. If this screen looks familiar to you, that's because this screen is from the ending of the original Doom game, where you could see Doom Guy's pet rabbit with his head stuck on a stick. Version 3, the fonts for the numbers changed. Version 3, on the hill level, flowers were added before the dead animals appear. And after the dead animals appear, dead flowers were also added. On the Knuckles section, an Easter egg was added if you go all the way to the left. And let's just say, yeah, it's 2012 humor. In the screen "Ready for round 2", the ending screen was changed in version 3. Take a listen. On version 4, Tails' face expression actually changes when he meets Sonic for the very first time. His face expression is also different when he tries to touch him. On the Knuckles section, in version 4, once Knuckles gets caught, a new sprite was added where he is actually crying. In version 4, on the game over screen, if you hold down any button, a new image of Sonic.EXE appears. Also, in version 4, if you stay on the game over screen for over 1 minute, red static will appear with a new image and also text written in Japanese. A user on the r/creepygaming actually translated what the text means. Here's what it says.
And my deceased soul screams, will you be my walker of the shadows? Delight me with a sinister sin. Our funeral of euphoria will break Satan's black heart.
What the fuck does that even mean? That makes as much sense as to what this guy wrote in one of the comments on this post. In version 5, the font for the numbers changed once again. Also in version 5, updated character portraits were added. In version 5, when Tails approaches Sonic, visual static was added. On the hide-and-seek level, when Sonic.EXE flashes on screen, visual static was also added. Version 5 also added blood spurts when Sonic.EXE kills Tails and Knuckles. On version 5, Sonic briefly appears behind Knuckles after the red static. On the same level, a new Knuckles sprite was added after Sonic.EXE appears in front of him. On the main menu, version 5 introduced a new Robotnik sprite that reflects his idle sprite when you play his level. In version 5, after you stay on the image with the Japanese text for over 30 seconds, you actually get to play a secret level with Sonic. By the way, huge epilepsy warning because this secret level is wild. Take a look. After some time on this weird ass level, you get this image where Sonic actually looks like a werewolf. Oh god, this brings horrible memories. And then after some time you get another random image with Japanese text. This time the text says,
The hand of darkness casts its shadow upon you. Forever walk the world in my creed, and do as I would. You will become invincible as you should. Curse the world of light and asphyxiate in my harboring blackness. Your world belongs to you, but my control is absolute. Curse those who are close to you and join the forces of mine, and bring about the Dark Age.
In other words, it's complete random ass words in order to sound edgy. Good god, I'm not sure how much longer I can take this. In version 6, the font for the HUD was once again changed. On version 6, Mount Crimson did the impossible by actually allowing people to finally jump in a Sonic game. Version 6 introduced a new Easter egg in Hill Act 1. Not much to say other than it was 2014 humor and it does not hold up well. In version 6, right before Tails touches Sonic, blood was added to his eyes. For some reason, in version 6, the place you start in the hide-and-seek level is different. Also, in the hide-and-seek level, when Sonic flashes on screen, the sprite work is different in version 6. When Sonic kills Tails and Knuckles in version 6, the blood spurt is different when compared to previous versions. On version 6, a new secret level was added in the section with Knuckles, where you have to do the impossible of walking to the left instead of right. Take a look at this secret level and, once again, epilepsy warning. On the Robotnik section, another secret level was added. In order to access it, you have to walk to the right until you reach the first set of stairs, and then you have to walk to the left back to where you start the level. Take a look at this secret level. In version 6, the ready for round 2 is different. Also, for some reason the question mark is all the way to the left because, well, I don't fucking know. A new game over screen was added in version 6, which is obviously better than the last one in my opinion. This time, if you stay on the game over screen for over 30 seconds, a new message appears that is actually written in English. The message reads,
There is a way to release ourselves, a spell to obtain our souls once more, but we must speak it. But when we speak, no sound. We are all deaf, so failure is inevitable, and I regret ever entering my internal bat with the devil inside of me. Immortality versus soul snatching. Gary Crook versus Jake Shanley. Ambition is overrated.
Once again, confusing as fuck, it's supposed to mean nothing. Also, for some reason in version 6 that secret Sonic level looks like this. Yeah, I didn't mess up while editing the video, for some reason that level was removed. In version 7, besides the secret levels for Knuckles and Robotnik, a secret level was added for Tails in Hill Act 1. All you have to do is just walk to the left. Take a look at this level, it's by far the most interesting one. In version 7, every time you complete a secret level, if you walk to the left as if you try to access the level again, secret rings were added, and you can actually go into depth. In total you can get -3 rings. Don't worry, I'll explain in a little bit what happens when you get these 3 rings. By far this is honestly the worst change. I'm going to play these 2 clips and I want you to tell me what's wrong with the one in version 7.
Hello. Do you want to play with me?
Yep. Jesus Christ, for some reason in version 7 every text has voice acting where Sonic.EXE talks. In version 7, on the Knuckles level, a new action was added. Now you can punch, but it's literally useless. In version 7, the I am God image was altered to a better one in my opinion. Still, they are both awful. Okay, finally, for the final change in version 7, remember those -3 rings? Well, if you don't get them once you reach the game over screen with this text, that's it, the game ends. But if you get all of the rings, you actually unlock that secret Sonic level that was removed in version 6. This level is actually a bit different from the time it made its debut in version 5. Take a look.
I was killed, slaughtered and killed in anger. I killed until all my strength was gone, and yet they rose to torture me, die for the devil's only pleasure.
Phew, that took some time, but here's the thing. All of the gameplay you saw was taken from YouTube by these people, so a huge thanks to these persons on screen for the footage. The link to their original videos will be in the description, so go watch them and let me know if I missed any change between the Sonic.EXE versions. There were some download links I saw on the internet of all of the original versions, but I wasn't going to take any chances in installing potential unsafe versions and getting a virus. I don't want my PC to transform into the Windows XP Gangster Edition, so I'll pass on that chance. Alright, on to the next chapter. Controversies aren't a strange thing in our planet. Look at the very recent Elon Musk situation, or if you are in the Dragon Ball community, the time where Geekdom 1-on-1 leaked the visual designs for the new Dragon Ball show titled Dragon Ball Daima, months before we were even supposed to see them. By the way, this guy on Twitter literally thanked people for the positive words in regards to him not spoiling major things that happened in a certain episode, even though he knew them since September of 2024. Literally, you can't make this shit up. Anyways, when you look at the story of Sonic.EXE, you just think of a silly story that has very cringy parts, and that's okay because after all, it's supposed to be something fun that should not be taken seriously, right? Yeah, no, you see, many moons ago, the Sonic.EXE creepypasta was removed from the Creepypasta wiki, and this was JC the Hyena's response.
I deeply regret to inform you all that I received some bad news. The admins of the Creepypasta wiki have finally decided to delete Sonic.EXE off the wiki, on the grounds that it was badly written and had too many cliches, and was a bad example of what should be a creepypasta. Bull friggin' horse shit. As you can see, I am furious with the fact that my masterpiece, which has won the hearts of millions and has made a massive impact on the internet, it is being brought down by a bunch of jealous, arrogant furry haters.
If it wasn't apparent by his profile pic, yes, JC is a furry, and I mean, I don't really care what you are or what you do in your free time, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. But I find it funny that he wrote furry haters in all caps. Well, you might be wondering, damn, I mean, that was the controversy? A guy that crashed out over his story being removed from a wiki? That's some weak stuff. Oh no, my friends, allow me to play a clip of what I just said. I mean, I don't really care what you are or what you do in your free time, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. Pay special attention to the part where I said, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, because things are about to get worse. July 30, 2021. A video was uploaded on YouTube by a creator called Saint Carlos with the title "The author of a famous creepypasta, Sonic.EXE, is a predator." The video goes on to show a private conversation in Discord between JC and a person who is not named. In this conversation, this unnamed person begins to engage JC in a roleplay for people who are 18 and above. Eventually, JC accepts this invite and begins to participate in this roleplay, where, to be honest, seeing what both of these people are writing makes me physically cringe. Once again, each to their own, as long as both parties are above the age of 18 and aren't hurting anyone else. Eventually, this unnamed person gets creeped out by what JC is writing, and eventually reveals that he's actually 14 years old. Yes, he is a minor. Now, by this point, any sane person, even if you were into this whole roleplay thing, where the content is for people who are 18 and above, you would nope the fuck out of this situation and end the conversation there. But JC did not do this. In fact, he continued to engage in this conversation. Here's what he wrote after the minor revealed his age.
Oh? You're 14 and you wanted to have sex with a 26-year-old magical hyena who has a macrophilia fetish? XD.
What the fuck? The conversation continues and this minor even points out that it's getting weird and really creepy. The rest of the images you are seeing on screen are the rest of the conversation that this miner at JC had, and eventually the miner just says that he is done with this conversation due to the way JC was acting. If you want to see the full video, the link will be in the description. August 19, 2021, a video was released by the popular gaming YouTuber named Luigi Kid Gaming with the title "The creator of Sonic.EXE is cancelled and a predator?" For those who don't know, Luigi Kid is a prominent figure in the .exe community, and his videos are pretty much mostly about EXE games. On this video, someone sent a DM to Luigi Kid on Twitter. This someone was a person named Shannon Love, JC the Hyena's ex-girlfriend. On this DM, she stated that JC admitted to her that he had engaged in sexual activity with someone who was under 18 years old in 2019. Also, JC exposed some adult content that he created to another minor named Helena, who was 13 or 14 years old at the time. August 20, 2021. Luigi Kid in the following day made another video titled Sonic.EXE Creator Responses to the Allegations of Being a Predator, Sir JC Hyena's Apology, and POV. On this video, JC sent a DM to Luigi Kid pretty much explaining the whole situation. Regarding the adult fanart content he created and sent to a minor called Helena, he says he has no memory of that event, nor did he have any idea that she was underage. On these DMs, he also says that regarding the allegation about something, they are actually true. This something is actually the adult roleplay messages I showed previously, and I know it's this because in these DMs he has with Luigi Kid, JC says that he wanted to do some extreme roleplaying with him. He also admits that the minor had told him he was underage, but according to him, for some reason, he didn't stop and just kept going with it. There are a lot more messages in the video of him trying to explain why he did this, which in my opinion it's impossible to justify his actions. But I recommend you to watch Luigi Kid's video and come up with your own conclusions. My conclusion is, if you try to engage in any sexual activity, whether it's through messages or, God forbid, something even further than that with someone who is underage, you deserve to be locked up. Also, don't harass or send any messages to the people mentioned in this part. Next chapter. If you played or watched any video of the original Sonic.EXE game, it doesn't matter which version it was, you can probably identify a major flaw that the game has. It's a walk to the right simulator. Now I know that someone is thinking, actually, if you think about it, the classic Sonic games are technically a walk to the right simulator too, because the objective is clearing the level, which involves, well, going right. Well, that's actually wrong, because yes, while the objective is going to the right, there are so many things happening that makes the levels dynamic. Actual platforming, enemies, rings to collect, and alternate paths. So it's not a game that is on rails, a game where it forces you to go a certain way. In Sonic.EXE, you walk to the right, wait for something scary to happen, walk to the right, wait for something scary to happen, walk to the right, wait for something scary. I think you get it by now. Not to mention that the actual jump scares aren't really that good. Like the great Chinese strategist Sun Tzu once said, "In the art of war, one must adapt, for as time passes, the sword becomes the gun, the horse becomes the tank, and the overpriced scroll becomes a free PDF online." Actually, he never said that. What I mean by this is that as time passes, better products, or in this case, better games appear. When you think about actual good Sonic horror games, this one is probably the first one that comes into your mind. Sonic.EYX. Oh my gosh, Markiplier played that. This was released by Cloudy Jolt back in March 2022. The only bad thing is that the game is not available anymore, unfortunately. I'm sure you can find download links from other sources, but be careful. Yes, the creator ended up removing the game from GameJolt because according to this post made by him in 13th of December of 2023, he gave up working on the project because he was not interested in working on it anymore. So what makes this the definitive Sonic horror game in my opinion? Well, for starters, if you try to transform a non-horror game into one, you should keep the gameplay intact, which Sonic.EYX manages to do. I mean, just look at this, man, it just feels like I'm playing the original Green Hill Zone. Well, just ignore this, because this is something that the dev added. But yeah, you got the platforming, enemies, and rings to collect. But of course, this is a Sonic horror game, and that means that things are bound to go horribly wrong. If you are playing as Tails in a Sonic.EXE game, the chances of you dying are about 100%. Yeah, look at that, that didn't take too long. I swear to God, Tails just can't take a break in these games. I also love how the game is self-aware, because after that Tails section, Knuckles talks to us, the players, letting us know how every time we play these EXE games we make these characters suffer. Also extra points for actually making Ray the flying squirrel of all characters playable. In case you don't know, his first real appearance where you could play as him was in Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog, an arcade game released in 1993. Which is not actually a bad game, to be honest, but it was infamous for using this trackball for controlling the characters, which is also a pain in the ass to emulate. Eventually he returned in Sonic Mania. Plus, yeah, you had to dish out that extra money to Sega. Anyway, Ray, just like Tails, also gets completely fucked. Now this is probably the best part in the whole game. Crystal Lake Zone. Come on man, just look at this level, it's absolutely beautiful. And it's the perfect thing to make you forget how Ray got his eyes gouged out. If you actually take this part and show it to someone without them knowing this is a horror game, chances are they will say it's an incredible crafted fan game that pays homage to the classic Sonic games. But of course, let's not forget this is Sonic.EYX after all, so even this beautiful level eventually turns on itself. And show us, for example, what happens after Sonic drowns in the games.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water.
This leads us into the next point. This game, out of any EXE game, just manages to do the horror aspect really well. Once again, how this beautiful level with amazing colors and music shapeshifts into this dark version devoid of any light and music. How the game effectively breaks the fourth wall and just overall makes you feel uneasy. Seriously, if you manage to find a safe download link of this game, try it out. It's absolutely amazing. Now you might be wondering, what the hell do you mean by triple question marks? Here's the funny thing, while I was gathering information for this video, namely all the bad things that JC has done, I actually found out that if you type in the Google search bar, what was the first Sonic creepypasta, the results that come up always talk about Sonic.EXE. Hell, if you even ask ChatGPT the same question, it will talk about Sonic.EXE. Well, let me tell you this, Sonic.EXE was not the first ever Sonic creepypasta created, because there is actually a Spanish one that was created before it, and it's quite decent actually. The title of that creepypasta is named El Pen Drive Azul, or translated into English, the Blue Pen Drive. This one was created by Sinua, and as you can see it was released back in March 21st, 2011, while Sonic.EXE was released in August 2011. Now I'll keep this chapter short because in the future I actually would like to make a more detailed video, but long story made short, the Blue Pen Drive story basically consists in an unnamed protagonist getting a visit from his friend, where he ends up giving him this blue pen drive before he has a massive fucking seizure and ends up dying. After the funeral, the protagonist has the brilliant idea to put this random USB drive into his personal computer, which I'm sure everybody knows that is an incredible idea. This pen drive only contained one folder with a file inside it, named Sonic.EXE. Yes, that was the actual name of the file. The protagonist had to correct the spelling in order to launch the game, otherwise an error would pop up. Launching the game and then playing through, he found nothing out of the ordinary, until he got hit by an enemy because instead of rings spilling out, it's actually black squares. After completing the Green Hill Zone Act 1, the next level is not actually Act 2. But instead it's this level with a black and red background. However, after the protagonist makes Sonic go a bit forward, the game completely shits on itself because the screen massively distorts itself, with bright flashing colors which paralyzes the protagonist. After this screen, which pretty much kills everyone who is prone to seizures, Sonic ends up dying and the game is pretty much over once the game over screen pops up. But the game isn't done yet. The game then transitions into a countdown. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Before the game completely shits on itself, the protagonist manages through sheer will move his body. He unplugs the PC power cord and proceeds to obliterate the pen drive, and thus the story ends. Honestly, you can see that this story makes much more sense. It's actually possible to believe that someone would create a game like this in order to hurt other people, especially those who are prone to seizures. It makes the story much more believable, instead of it being a supernatural entity who ends up materializing into the real world as a plushie with bloody red... I can't even finish the sentence, it's that ridiculous. Well, now you know. If for some reason anyone says to you that Sonic.EXE was the first ever Sonic creepypasta created, you can respond with, respectfully, as a true Sonic connoisseur, you are wrong. Well, that's pretty much the video. I must apologize for the lack of uploads as I had to put this video in the back burner for a while, but I hope you enjoyed it. After this video, regular uploads will be coming back, so be on the lookout. And let me know down in the comments if there is anything I missed regarding the various differences between the Sonic.EXE versions created by Mount Crimson. Also, I really enjoyed making this longer video since I really like to watch videos from YouTubers like Pyrocynical, where he makes these long-ass videos, even though I would never see myself making an 8-hour video. Imagine if in a couple of months someone actually comments down below saying that statement aged like milk. Well, if you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing and liking the video. I would really appreciate it. Do let me know down in the comment section if there are any games you would like me to cover. I read every comment, so a game that you mention could be covered in a future video. And with all of that said, goodbye and thank you for watching.